Five, four, three, two, one. Ready.
Just relax and enjoy the ride.
In crowd, 815. In crowd, 815. In crowd, 815. In crowd, 815.
What I'm saying, as Tom sits back down in his chair, what I'm saying this week, Tom, if someday we get to the 3-day work week, we'll all be defined by our hobbies, not our jobs. So instead of being a lawyer who games, you'll be a gamer who lawyers. I'm Greg. He's Tom. This is your In Crowd 815 podcast for the 18th day. Oh my gosh, the 18th day of January, the year 2025, the latest it has ever been.
In the history of
Ready
mankind.
for that 3-day work week, Tom?
Yeah, and I'll be a guy who sits on his butt instead of a guy who just sits on his butt, because I work half the time and I'm off half the time. I got a very easy week most
There
of
we
the
go.
time. So I don't do any gaming, not a lawyer, nothing important. I do trivia. I guess I'll be a trivia guy who sits on his butt.
I think for 2 years now,
Yeah.
I think I'm on my second or third year now of being able to say I'm a podcaster who realtors.
There you go.
I'm
There you go. Well, I guess I'm a podcaster
That's
too.
right. You're a podcaster who does other things. So who DJs, who trivia hosts, you know. So I like that. I like that angle on things. We've got a nice show for you and the person that's probably still sleeping next to you. So if you want to watch us live, go ahead and give him a little nudge and wake him up. Say, hey, Greg and Tom are talking, making noise. He's got fuzzy bears.
Hey, wake up.
Wake up. We got some great guests for you today. We're going to talk with Danielle from NAMI of Northern Illinois. They've got some great events coming up. And we have Nicole and Kate coming up first from WOMANSPACE. They also have a big calendar of events for 2025. But before we get to them, we need to do a little bit of this. Our current race to 10 has me way out in front, 6-2. And I'm trying, Tom. I'm trying to help you. I really am. I want you to catch up.
Well, you're not trying very hard. You could give me better hints.
Our big number of the week this week, as you see it scrolling down on the bottom there, I'll put it big on the screener now. It's 100,000. 100,000. And the answer is charity or cheese. Two very prominent things of this show every week: charity and cheese. And
yeah, that's
right.
True.
I encourage you right now to Google it if you want. Help give your AI assist a chance to maybe find the story in the last week or two that has 100,000 as a significant number in the story, and then find one that has something to do with charity or something to do with cheese, and put your guess in the comments before the hour's up.
I already sent you mine.
We'll tell you the answer before the hour's up, what the big number of the week is, what it has to do with either charity or cheese this week. I probably could do a whole bunch of shout outs, but I'm not, because I want to get to our guests, because we have two different organizations to talk about this week. And our first guest, click there. Come on, technology, be good to me. Our first guests this week are all about WOMANSPACE. of Rockford. And I think we've talked Woman Space on the show before, but we'll get another rundown and lowdown of exactly what Woman Space is all about from their co-director and director of programs, Nicole Lansdreth, and one of their great members, Kate Rehak. Kate and Nicole, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for getting up early
Good
and joining
morning.
us on this Saturday. What's your backdrop there? You got a little, is that real? Is that really a window?
That's very real. I get the best office in the building. It's like a 3-season room, so I have a view of the art studio and the forest and the beautiful gardens right next to me. And this is more of the gardens.
That's
Women's
no,
Space is 8 acres.
Yep,
8 acres.
7 acres. 7 acres. But
7
yeah.
acres. And well, being that it's you self-described it as a 3 seasons room. Are you like freezing cold right now?
Well, it used to be a 3 seasons room. It is like part of the house now, but it's it's got windows on 3 of the walls. which
You're
is
adequately
wonderful.
heated up. You've got furnace assisted climate control.
I keep a space heater under my desk.
For the longest time when Tom and I started doing this as a podcast, my office and my studio was in my basement.
Ooh.
So in the winter times, the space heater was cranked, and now I'm in the penthouse suite, second floor of our New Milford studios here. I won't open the window because it's right behind me, and that light will just make me into a silhouette for the show.
Mm.
But yeah, we overlook the wonderful land of New Milford, and Ogle County is behind me.
Wow.
right there. I could almost literally throw a stone and hit Ogle County. So for those who have no clue what Woman Space is, we want to know all about Woman Space of Rockford. So when you meet someone new and you tell them for the first time, what is Woman Space?
So Women's Space is a community center. Our mission statement is connecting, empowering, creating, and transforming our world one woman at a time. And basically, we offer different kinds of programs and community groups and sometimes fun special events for people to gather and connect with each other, connect with themselves. About half of our programs are some kind of art related, and we really utilize the like healing and explorative and connective like powers that come from exploring art and playing around with different art materials and different kinds of reflective projects to help us learn about, connect with ourselves, and also to foster a space where we feel able to connect with one another. And kind of right now there's a lot of division in our world, and one of the things that I love about art is its power to bring people back together.
I think any of us who went to school in America can remember back in those days, either probably in a music class or an art class, where you bonded with someone, you became friends with someone because of similar art styles or similar musical tastes. And that sounds like a little bit like what you do.
Yeah.
So if I could interject here, back in 1974, before any of you were born, I
No.
I first met the founders of Woman Space, who were my English and art teachers at Driscoll High School in Addison, Illinois. So right before they came here to found Woman Space, it was their dream to create a safe place for women to create. But they were my English and art teachers, and more specifically, they were the first directors of my musical. First musical I was in as a 15-year-old. So they've been promoting and empowering women and girls for a very long time.
Mhm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you remember what the musical was?
Oh, sure. We first did Carnival, and then we did Showboat.
Okay. All right. So a bunch of classic music, classic tunes, all kinds of good stuff to sing and dance to. We've already started jumping into Women's Space stuff, and normally we do like to get into our guest stuff first. So before we get too much further into Women's Space, I want to learn a little bit about who you are. So Nicole, please tell us where you grew up and went to school, and maybe a little career arc of what led you to Women's Space. Little resume in a nutshell, if you will.
Yeah, well, I definitely have a long and winding road. career experience. But I grew up in Rockford. I was born in Brooklyn, but we moved here when I was 4, so I don't really remember New York. I grew up in Rockford. I am bred, so I went to public schools here, Rockford Public Schools, and in 4th grade, I got a chance to be a part of the Creative and Performing Arts program, which I was actually the last 4th grade class in that program. After our year, they cut the lower level of the Kappa program, and it just became the middle school and high school. And that was also when they started building the Ellis Arts Academy building. So we did a year at West, that was the last year that they did that with the 4th graders. And I remember Mr. White, he felt like 7 feet tall, and he used to always call us ankle biters because we were the smallest ones in the school.
Charles White.
Leonard White.
Leonard
Yep.
White.
Yep,
That's
Leonard
right.
White. He was-
Charles White. Leonard White. My kids
yeah.
had him, and he was funny.
great.
He was
Golden
funny.
Apple.
Leonard
Yep.
White. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, there were quite a few Golden Apple teachers in the Kappa program. So then,
Yes.
we did Kappa through middle school, going through the Ellis Arts Academy. We had the beautiful, brand new, state-of-the-art theaters and green rooms, and that was such an incredible experience for a young person interested in the performing arts. And then I moved on to high school and did the Kappa program at Auburn. And so I know nothing about sports because I did dance from 4th grade all the way up through high school.
Which, if anyone who's done both knows, dance is a sport. I mean, it might not be. Yeah, don't kid yourself.
Oh yeah, the professional dancers are athletes for sure.
Absolutely. So you're an Auburn Knights.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning, Knights.
Absolutely.
Anybody else
Okay.
tonight? Are either?
No, both my daughters both went there. They played soccer, then they moved on to Rockford, then college. But no, it's a good school. It's
Yes,
a great school.
Are you also a lifelong, basically Rockfordian, Kate, or did you move here from somewhere
No,
else?
I moved here in 1987. So I was in Addison, Illinois, as I said, and that's where I first met the founders, Elaine and Dorothy. And then went on to Illinois State, and then from there, I started my teaching career. So I'm a Knight because I ended my teaching career at Auburn High School. It is a great school, and it was a great place to work and be with. The kids were amazing. The kids continue to be amazing, and my colleagues were extraordinary. So, so I'm a special ed teacher, and I taught out east for a while, and then moved to Rockford in '87. And I taught at Flynn Middle School. I taught at East High School. I taught at RSTA, and then I ended up at Auburn, which was my favorite place to work.
Nice.
One of the things I loved about being at Auburn as a student was the mix of students. It's on the west side, there's the regular track programs, there's the honors track program, there's the academy, there's the Kappa students, there's the sports programs. There was just such a mix of students, and that was, I think it was just one of the things that made my experience in high school really rich.
And I was a special ed teacher there. So besides the special programs of Kappa, and we also had the JROTC program with extraordinary teachers there as well. I learned a lot from them. But we also had the special ed programs there, and the kids were amazing, and all kids could be successful there, especially within the arts. When I remember being especially thrilled that one of my geometry students had her artwork displayed all over the school because she was fantastic. And I remember saying to the teacher at the time, my kid's work is up in the hall. And she said, well, why wouldn't it be?
Aww.
And I said, because it never used to be. Because I was always the only one who put up my kids' works, but the kids could be successful even if they weren't great geometry students, particularly. They could really excel in those programs, and especially the Kappa program.
Yeah, find their niche. And for those who are maybe in Rockford but don't have kids in the Rockford high schools, they've been doing this academy program now for what, 6, 7, 8 years. That each school has this
Yeah, it's got to be
track.
it's got to be at least 10 years now, because
Okay.
I retired in 2018. So, and it was going strong.
I remember sitting in, they had a bunch of us realtors in at Guilford High School to explain how this had started and launched, and what it meant, and why they thought it was going to be successful. And obviously they're still doing it. So it does seem to be helping to retain, keep more students in school.
It really helped a lot of kids imagine a future. And that's what I think is the best thing about the academy program, that before that, you would ask a student, so what are you going to do when you're done? Oh, I don't know, maybe go into the NFL. Oh, you play football? No. And so the academy program really does help kids think about the options that they have, and having real people come in, like you as a realtor. I remember the electricians like set my math class on fire, and the kids all of a sudden started doing math, because you have to do math to be an electrician. And it was it opened up a world of possibilities to kids, and for kids to imagine a future. Great. I think it's a great program still.
Nice. Good deal. Well, we could talk about schools all day, but we got to talk about Women's Space a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can't put you here on the main screen and bring up your website. Women's Space, again, you got about 7 acres over there. You're in a residential area, right?
We are tucked in the neighborhood. What is that? Just west of Rock Valley College, across from Mulford. We're off of Springbrook, kind of winding down a few different streets to find this little oasis.
There we go.
That is Women's Space. We have 2 buildings. Well, that is our main office building, which also has our gallery and our gift shop and our yoga studio. And then we have our New Dimensions art studio, which is our art studio. That's 2 levels as well. The lower level is a clay studio, and the upper level is a multi-purpose art studio, which when Dorothy and Elaine were just starting Women's Space, they dreamed about having an art studio with skylights, and in the 90s, they built it. And so every time I'm in that space, I think about that story and what can be accomplished when a group of dedicated people come together on a mission. And we also have our pavilion, our Angileri pavilion, which we love to host different programs in, like during the warm weather months. We one of the ones that I love is Gongtopia, that happens 3 times a year. And we have this wonderful guy who comes in from Janesville, who's amassed a collection of gongs and different kinds of percussive instruments from around the world for the last 20 years. And I mean, it takes him about an hour to set up. That's how big the setup is. And it's basically just like a sound bath meditation. It's not really guided with words. It's really just immersing yourself in the sound. And since we do it outside on a pavilion, his sounds mesh so beautifully with the sounds that are happening just in the natural environment around the pavilion. And this past September when we did it, it was just lightly drizzling, and I kept thinking, I cannot tell if the sounds that I'm hearing are from what he's creating or what the nature is creating. And it was just, that synergy was just absolutely beautiful.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And then we also have our meditation garden and our pine forest and our labyrinth and our prairie. And all of that outdoor space is taken care of by a dedicated crew of volunteers who have been doing it for decades. And it's a pretty incredible place.
I've got your about page up here on the screen. Dorothy and Elaine, members of the school Sisters of St. Francis, co-founded Women's Space in 1975, and in 77 became a not-for-profit. And you can see all the information there. We've got the link in the chat here, so you can click right to it and go right to the Women's Space webpage and get all the information about what Women's Space is all about. And I wanted to see, let's see if this Facebook link works for you. There we go. There's your big 50.
It's our 50th year. Yeah. So 1975 we were founded, and now it's 2025. It's our big golden anniversary, celebrating 50 years. And so I love what our graphics people did with that image, with the original founding crew, and then our 50 logo, and then our current crew staff, like just seeing the then and now, and I love it.
So the big event is like right around the corner. It's what, a week from Sunday?
Yeah, so actually for the 50th anniversary, we have a ton of big events. We have, I think, like 8 or 10 big events throughout the year, almost one every month. The first one coming up is actually our open house, where earlier this month we went to City Hall and had a proclamation from the mayor about this being our 50th anniversary and everyone should celebrate. And so on the 26th here at WOMANSPACE, he's going to be here again to share that proclamation, and also to share about his own experience with WOMANSPACE. His mom, Barbara McNamara, was also integral in the founding group of WOMANSPACE. So
And she's remained a member this
whole time,
and
yeah.
she's an amazing artist
She
herself.
is.
And what I love about her story is she always has been an artist or a performer at heart.
Mhm.
But if you know the mayor's mom, she had a bunch of kids, and so she always had that spirit and that drive, and was always involved in the community. But once her kids were grown, she began to really, as I understand it, to take classes here in painting.
Yeah.
And she's an extraordinary painter.
Yes,
So,
she is.
I love that about her, because she, and I will say, like me, later in life, after doing a whole lot of, for her, doing a whole lot of service, she kind of came back to the center here, and utilizes and supports WOMANSPACE.
Mhm. Yeah, she's actually part of a group of 5 or 6 artists that show regularly every year in our gallery. A group of friends, they rent out our gallery, and they take one of our gallery slots every year. So she does beautiful birds.
Yeah.
Well,
But
your
yeah.
event here looks like it says the open house is Sunday, January 26th,
Mhm.
starting at 2.
Yep.
A program begins at 3, probably wrapped up around 5 o'clock.
Yep.
Former Mayor McNamara planning to speak, and some key WOMANSPACE members and staff, and refreshments, hors d'oeuvres and such.
Yep.
And I imagine a whole lot of art and stuff will be displayed and stuff as well.
Yeah, currently we have a show in our gallery. It's a solo show by Laura Gomel, who's the director of 317 Art Collaborative. She was the recipient of the Adult Artist Recognition Award for the Deborah Newton, from the Deborah Newton Endowment, which allowed her to create a one-woman show. And it's a really beautiful show. It's called Kami Wanita, which means we are women. And it's portraits of women from Indonesia, because when she found out that she had received this award, she was on a trip in Indonesia. We called her and she's like, "Oh, I'm on vacation." And so, we told her part of this award is she gets to have a solo show in our gallery. And while she was traveling, she's, ruminating on, okay, what do I want this show to be? And, when you're on vacation, you're taking pictures of lots of stuff. And she found herself, taking lots of pictures of just women doing their things, being in their life. They were visiting a small village where her husband is from. And so a lot of the pictures she was taking were people from his family, and just people from the small village, and at the marketplace. And she was really struck by just the commonalities that we share. And you can be literally across the world, and there's still that commonality that women share about just and people generally. Just we have to take care of our families, we have to feed ourselves and our families. And so she created. If you're familiar with Laura Gomel's work, she is so talented, and the way that she captured the essence of these different people in her portraits is just absolutely beautiful. So that show is going to be up during our open house and through the end of February.
Awesome. Good
Yeah.
deal. Well, music, art, food, all that stuff brings us together, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
For sure. So here's a chance to take a look at some great art and celebrate 50 years of WOMANSPACE. Sunday, January 26th, out there on their Maria Linden campus there, 3333 Maria Linden Drive in Rockford. And I imagine that the people who've never been there before, when they drive up into this place, are going to be like, am I in the right spot?
Yeah,
And you just turn that corner and you're like, oh, this is it. Because you don't expect it there. You just don't expect it there. And there it is. So
yeah.
Well, we want to bring on our other guest here in just a second. So before we transition to our other guest and do some Tom trivia, is there anything we did not ask you about this morning that you wanted to make sure we talked about before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to emphasize again that this is our 50th year anniversary and we have a bunch of events throughout the year. So if you are interested in volunteering or just being a part of how does an event come together like that, or you just want to come out and get to know WOMANSPACE, like please come down to our campus or give us a call, shoot me an email. All of that information is on our website. And we're happy to bring people in to get involved. We have lots and lots of things going on this year, so there's lots of different ways that people can support.
Awesome. Good deal. Check out womanspace.org, and we've got that link again.
Womanspace-rockford.org.
There you go. Yep, the link's in the chat there. womanspace.rockford.org. And sign up for the newsletters and stuff so you know what's going on and keep up to date. Obviously, the Facebook page also keeps.
There's the list of classes are there too, and it's a great variety of classes. All look through the options.
Yeah, we span quite a spectrum. I was saying earlier that about half of our classes are like arts related, and the other half can vary from, we have a class about learning about composting this year, about different ways to be sustainable in your fashion choices, money management, and how, like, what your relationship with money is. And there's so many, plus yoga and meditation, so many different kinds of programs.
You ladies are one more reason why when somebody says there's nothing to do in Rockford, they're just full of it. They just don't know it. They just don't. Get out. You just got to get out of your own house, open your front door and walk out once in a while, and or check out Rockford on your Facebook search 815 in Rockford, and you'll find plenty of things to do. So
absolutely.
I'm very glad you're doing what you're doing, and glad to support what it is that you are up to. So let's bring on Danielle and let's do a little bit of this. Time for a little bit of Tom's trivia. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning. It's my
Morning,
favorite.
Danielle.
We're going to see if we can score. Usually Tom has 5 or 6 questions for us, and if we can do 3 or more, I feel pretty good about ourselves. So let's see if we can score 3 points against Tom's trivia today.
Well, the trend has been 6 questions and 1 bonus question, because now you're up against somebody who a few teams now have had 6 right, 1 wrong. Nobody's had a perfect 7. So
nobody's had a perfect set yet. No.
Here we go. By the way, Danielle, I don't have my trophy handy that your mom made for me. I don't remember what I did with it. I think it's out in the other room. I'm sorry.
Somewhere.
I'm sorry, but I'll bring it on our NAMI night. Okay, here we go. You guys ready? All right. First question is music. An orchestra typically uses which note to tune up before a performance or a practice?
How do we buzz in?
You don't buzz in.
We're working together, Kate.
Yeah, you're working together. You're all a team. Whoever can answer it.
A.
Is it A or C?
It's A.
Everybody agree with that?
Na, 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 A.
You seem confident. Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
A.
absolutely. Very confident. The way it was explained to me is the violins in an orchestra are what set the tone. But in a band, like a rock band or something, you're going to use C. So anyway, A is correct. Very good.
I don't know why they don't use a kazoo for that. This is perfectly in tune all the time.
All right, here we go. Question number 2, animals. A female donkey is typically referred to by which name?
Female donkey typically referred.
What is a female donky called? You know,
there's no multiple choice on this one.
Yeah.
There could be.
The first word that popped into my head was Bray for some reason, and I don't know why.
Okay, I'll give you the multiple choice because originally it did have one. It's either a Debbie or a Jenny.
I think it's
It's a
Jenny.
I was thinking, oh geez, I was thinking it was a Debbie. She was thinking it's a Jenny.
I think it's a Jenny.
Danielle?
It is Jenny. It is a Jenny.
All right. All right.
All right. Question number 3, moving right along. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So this week in 1919, there was a tragedy in Boston. It was a flood. 2 million gallons of this flooded Boston. A storage tank burst, drowning 21 and injuring 150. It was known as the Great Blank Flood.
Wow.
I have no
I am nearly certain I know what this one is.
Well, you're on
Alrighty.
my team, Greg.
I'm pretty sure I know what this one is. I'm just curious to see if any of you ever recall hearing this story.
In 1919, 2 million gallons of what flooded Boston? A storage tank
It's-
burst, drowning 21 and injuring 150. It was known as
It's
the
a very sticky substance.
It's syrup.
Syrup?
Syrup. I'm almost positive it's syrup.
Is that your final answer?
Let's do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sure.
It is very close. It's molasses.
Oh, wow, that's
Now
a lot
listen.
of molasses.
Wow.
I don't want to sound insensitive,
rough.
but they couldn't outrun that or what? I mean, come
Well,
on now.
The
In the
saying is,
winter
"Well, it's
time you could.
molasses."
You can outrun
Yeah.
it in the winter, but in the summertime it runs fast. So you got
I suppose.
All right.
All right, 2 million.
I knew it was a
gallons.
sticky substance. Darn it.
Wow, it really messed
It
the
was
place
very
up for a
close.
while. Yeah. All right, here we go. What is the name of this online marketplace? This is obviously advertising and marketing. What is the name of this online marketplace company? Their name is derived from the Italian word for the phrase "oh yeah."
Etsy. And yes, Etsy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Let's see.
Is
No
it?
need to go any further. I don't want
Cool.
anybody to screw it up. Yes.
Way to
Very
go,
good.
team.
Woo.
Very good. Very good. All right. All right. We got what do we have left here?
Couple more here.
We got one more, and then we've got what would essentially be the tiebreaker. It's the bonus question. All right. What is the spiciest sauce at Taco Bell?
Hot sauce. I don't know.
Is there anything with ghost pepper in it? I don't know.
No.
Flame something. I don't.
Oh,
I'm not a
It's
spicy.
another name. It's another name for the devil.
It's Diablo.
Diablo.
Diablo, look at that. All right. See, here's the funny thing about trivia. You all have it in your heads. We all do. And then all of a sudden, boom, it hits because. All right. You missed what did you guys miss? 1 or 2?
Molasses.
You missed the molasses one. And was that the only one?
I believe so.
Well, you missed. Okay, so you can tie the best record here, the best
All
score.
right.
Now, here it is. You're gonna have to figure out the year for this one.
Oh no.
The year for this one. Oh, wait a minute. How many did we? We only did 5.
This number 6 right now.
2, 3, 4. Yeah, we only did 5. Here we go.
All right.
Number 6. In what year did the Concorde make its first transatlantic crossing? I am going to give you some multiple guess options. Was it
Okay.
1972, 1973, or 1974? I know. That was like,
I was very confident to say it was in the 70s.
yeah, well, you would have been right.
But not they.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that was number 6.
Okay.
I don't even have a guess.
You have no idea.
Should we go with 72?
Is it 72, 73, or 74? I'm going to eliminate one of them. I'm going to eliminate 1972. Now you've only got 2 left. 73, 74.
I want to say 74, but I have no idea.
Let's do it.
We'll give one a
74.
go.
Come on, 74.
1973.
Oh,
All right. One final question. This is normally it's going to be a Packer question or a Rockford trivia question. Today it's Rockford trivia. Kate, you mentioned you taught at Jefferson,
No, Auburn.
Auburn, Flynn. You said Flynn.
And Flynn.
Flynn. Okay, that's what sparked me. Okay, what year
Uh-oh.
did Flynn? Well, Jefferson become Flynn, and the new Jefferson open in it was in
19 something.
on Samuelson is what I was going to say. I almost gave that one away. What year are we looking for?
What year did Jefferson open on Samuelson?
Yep.
Yes, so
And I can give you want options?
yeah, I came in 87 and it was before that.
Yeah, it was late 70s or early 80s. I don't know.
It was late 70s. Was it 77, 78, or 79?
I blew it the last time. I'm deferring to you.
Jefferson High School, the big new Jefferson High School debuted in Rockford.
We used to call it the prison because there's no windows there.
Yeah.
And somebody actually, and this wasn't funny, this was aggravating. Somebody actually took a marker and wrote, not a marker, spray paint, Jefferson State Pen. We came to school one morning and they had crews out there trying to clean it off.
Not the best, Frank.
I did apologize for it, so no. Wasn't me. All right, 77, 78, or 79?
Let's go 78.
Come on, 78. Roll the dice.
Yes,
on
78 it was. 78.
Yes.
5 and 2. All right.
All right.
So
All right.
it's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well, the Woman's Space event again is a week from tomorrow. It's January 26th, a Sunday afternoon. Check out their place there on Maria Linden, and I believe you'll have a good time, and you'll get to see some great art and meet some wonderful, wonderful people. Hopefully the weather is next Sunday like it was yesterday here in
We're gonna have
Rockford.
great weather.
Oh, 51 degrees, I believe, is what we hit yesterday.
I got out of my car in Loves Park at one point. It was 54.
Oh, 54. Good.
I was shocked by that, but yeah, it could be a cold event, but I'm sure it'll be wonderfully warm inside. So
Yeah, it'll be toasty inside.
all the best to you in your event, and we look forward to having you back on again in the future. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Congrats on
Nicole.
50 years.
All right, as we shift things over to NAMI, I accidentally clicked off Tom's thing as well. Don't worry, Tom, I'm bringing you back. NAMI of Northern Illinois, part of a nationwide organization that Danielle is going to tell us about today. I think I'm getting this right. For those completely uninitiated in what NAMI's all about, Nicole, what do you tell people about NAMI?
Well, speaking of the late 70s in Jefferson, that's when our national group was formed in Madison, Wisconsin. 2 moms, they both had adult children living with schizophrenia, and there were a few options for them, resources, supports, and they really bound together with families they kept running into that were going through similar situations. And that's how NAMI was formed. And very similarly here, 1984, we celebrated our 40th last year. A bunch of families with adult loved ones living with serious mental illness found one another and really became that support system for one another. And it has definitely blossomed into a lot of peer work and family work. So it's been fun to see it grow over the last 8.5 years I've been around.
And what led you to be involved with NAMI? What was your little career arc, I guess you could say, that led you to become the director there at NAMI Northern Illinois?
Well, I think just mental health has always been important to me throughout school. That's what I chose to study. Really my work history, my parents own their own business, so I really worked there growing up, right? And then throughout school, I worked with children in a lot of different facets. And I think throughout my whole life, have seen the tolls like mental illness and not taking care of your mental health can play into family, friends, myself. So I think it's really been just a personal experience for me that led me here.
Okay, so Danielle, 1 second. I did have it. Greg, if you can make this bigger. This is what your mom made for me.
Yes, my parents own.
Yes.
trophy shop and gift shop and
Well,
engraving shop.
you can't read it, but anyway, I won my fantasy football championship, and since there's nobody patting myself on the back except me, I decided to go have a trophy made. And your mom was wonderful and gracious, and she made me this trophy. It says Yahoo Public League 2024 champion, Pac-Man 35, and then the score that I kicked his butt by. So
Congrats.
anyway, I did have it up there. I just didn't see where I'd put it. But anyway,
The story's totally worthy because they totally dissed him on his draft.
that's
They
what
gave him a
happened.
D.
They
They gave
did.
him
They
a
gave me a D and says if Pac-Man 35 even wins a few games, we'll be surprised. They're a bunch of snot-nosed college graduates that write for Yahoo. They're just newbies and they're just being funny and facetious and whatever. And then when I won it, they're like, Pac-Man 35 showed them all how it's done. And so I've got both of those things side by side, which is going to go into, as soon as I have enough time, my big board right here.
There we go.
There we go. I'm still trying to figure out the mirror thing.
Okay.
But anyway, and then I'm going to have my trophy placed right there. So anyway, okay, I am so sorry. Back to what we were talking about. But I did want to show you that because I had told you about it. So
Thank you.
All
looks
right,
good.
let's see if I can arrange
specialty engraving. I know we're not trying to do commercials here, but that's what it is. If you're looking for something, specialty engraving, and they're very good.
Very nice. Very nice.
Alrighty.
Now, as far as NAMI goes,
Yeah.
talk about a calendar of events. You're always doing a lot of things as far as groups and helping people. So there's fun events, fundraiser events that we also want to touch on today as well. But your calendar of events, I could probably click on the calendar thing here and just show off what how active your organization is.
For sure. So throughout the week, like every week, we have 3 different days of support groups that are for adults living with any mental health condition. We have 4 different family support groups throughout the month for adults with mental illness. And then we have 1 for parents and caregivers of children. We have a couple different groups for teens throughout the month. Twice a year at least, we have some family education courses that run for about 8 weeks, both in English and in Spanish, talking about, best communication skills, advocating for your loved one, how to seek help, how to care for yourself and your whole family, because we know mental illness takes a toll on everyone. Then throughout the month, we also do different educational events for the community, because I think we want to erase that stigma, create different tools for people to use when they're experiencing someone else's mental health challenges or their own.
So it's there's groups for every facet. It's not just the ones who feel the need to help themselves, but to help their loved ones.
True. And we just started for the first time in like 20 years, a peer-to-peer class. So it's peers teaching one another about what mental illness does to the brain and like how to create those healthy coping skills and like toolboxes for themselves when they're feeling their symptoms onset, which is cool.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, the website here is up and I got the link in the chat, so it's easy to find. NAMInorthernillinois.org. Read all about the mission and core values and goals, and that calendar is right up there as well. If you have someone in crisis, they've got the 988 number. You can text directly to NAMI. All that information is right there on the website. And you look for donations. When people say, "Hey, I'm thinking about donating to NAMI," how do you describe what it is that their funds actually go toward and helping people?
So all of what we do is free of charge. We actually, over the last 2 years, have grown from a staff of 1 to a staff of 4 and looking for a 5th human here soon, which is really exciting. And we're moving into our own space for the first time. I don't know if I can say that out loud yet, but we are. And
We're that close.
Yeah.
The goal is there. It's right there.
Yes. So it will help us, continue to offer those services for free, have our own space, like where people a safe space for people to drop by and kind of get the support that they need.
Okay. I'm just going to try your Facebook link too today and see if that goes right to your page. Look at that. There we go. NAMI, Northern
Phew.
Illinois.
Makes me nervous.
National Alliance on Mental Illness. We're all about keeping you up to date here technologically. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We've got a little Chase the Way the Winter Blues trivia coming up, and that's the next thing I want to ask you about is a trivia night coming up. 3 nights. Look at that.
Yeah, so we're doing a little series. Last year we tried our hand at our first trivia night. Thank you, Tom. I think it went
was
really,
fun.
really well. We had a crowded house, so we're actually cutting back a little bit on team numbers, just to make it more functional inside the space.
Yeah, it was.
And then we're gonna do
that night. It was a lot of teams.
Yes, which I'm very thankful for, and it was fun. But just for space, I thought maybe a few less would be all right.
I know our in-crowd group had a few of those teams. We had a blast. We had so much fun.
Good.
I hopefully some of our members will decide to do that too. I do see that you chose to use the last 3 Thursdays, the last Thursday of the month, and that's when our group meets. So some of our group won't be able to come because they're hosting events that night already. But for those who want to participate in this is still a great thing to do. And you're back at Park Lanes again.
Yes, we are.
Park
They did a
Lanes.
phenomenal job. The food there is good. They'll have a limited menu, which is good. If you think of it this way, you're not going to inundate the cooking staff with a bunch of weird orders and this and that. They'll be able to just fire it all out, and everybody will get fed quickly. So the limited menu is always a good thing. And you don't have to worry about choices. Do I go with this or do I go with that? I don't know. Come back to me in 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah, efficiency matters when you got a big group like that.
Absolutely.
$120 per team, capacity 12 teams, and 6 people max per team. Doors opening at 5. Trivia starts at 6, probably done right about 8 o'clock. And January 30th, February 27th, and March 27th out at Park Lanes in Loves Park. They've got a great stage set up there, got the great tables, and like Tom said, good food choices there. So you're going to have a good time and win some prizes. I know the last year when you did this, you also did some silent auction type stuff. Are you planning to do stuff like that again for this one, or going to?
We're not going to do the raffle baskets this time, but we're going to have a bunch of different door prizes so people don't have to spend any more money than just their team.
There you go. Streamline. My motto, Danielle, for this year, is 3 simple words: do less better.
I like that.
That's for years in sales, I've always focused on 3 words. Action cures fear is my biggest thing for anybody who ever wants to try something new and they're a little bit of little timid about maybe trying something new. Just remember these 3 words: action cures fear. If you're afraid about, just try it. Take that first step. That's the hardest one, the first step. And once you do that, you're usually on the move and know if you want to go forward. But this year's more focuses on doing less better. And it's all about being able to breathe. We especially in this social media age that we live in, we feel like we're on all the time and trying to find ways to shut up. I'm segueing this back into mental health, Danielle. See what I'm doing with this?
The consummate professional.
Because we put so much stress on ourselves because we look at other people's lives and we think everyone's doing so much stuff that's cooler than us. And it's all highlights. We're living in other people's highlight reels, and we just need to start realizing, you know what? If you do that one good thing a day, you won,
Right. We can't compare ourselves to others. It's a very dangerous game.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. So here's some things you can put on your calendar, and we do need to sign up for, because these events will probably sell out, where you can say, hey, on January 30th or February 27th or March 27th, at least one of those great things that happens that day is I'm going to be a part of this trivia event where, win or lose, I've helped raise some money for NAMI Northern Illinois. And are you hosting all 3 of these, Tom?
I certainly am.
You certainly are. All right. So
Our fave trivia guy.
Our trivia master, Tom Warner, ready to take you there.
To be fair, Danielle, the only trivia guy you know, probably. But anyway.
No.
you might, and I throw this out there because I think watching this show should bring a benefit to everyone. You might hear a very similar or same trivia question on this show that he might use that night. Maybe. I'm not saying he will. I'm saying it could happen on purpose or by mistake. You just don't know.
Are you going to do that, Tom?
Now the challenge is out there. I'd probably, you know what, as a benefit, yes, as a benefit to those who watched, that's a good idea. All right. I'll have to make a note to self on that.
Even if it's just one or two questions, it might get the leg up that you need to score enough points to win this whole thing. So just throwing that out there for you.
Good idea.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Hopefully one from today.
There you go. Go. Well, these are always fun events, and I'm glad you're doing 3 of them this year. And like I said, I encourage everybody to go out and get this signed up now. There's an Eventbrite link that I'm going to put this. Where's the copy thing? Copy link and put this in the chat so people can go directly to this event page on Facebook. Okay, good. It's not too long of a link. It'll be in the chat, easy to click. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, these chat comments pop up for us. So our YouTube channel has this, and our Facebook business page has these comments and links. We're on all these different platforms, but Restream currently doesn't put all that stuff on Instagram or X or LinkedIn. So in case you're not seeing them right now, you're probably on LinkedIn or on X and going, where is it? Well, it's over on the YouTube or the Facebook side. And I think these pop up as well if you watch later on Spotify. But anyway, all this stuff is in the notes on the chat as well. So check that out later on there. So anything else we want to touch on as far as NAMI goes for maybe your calendar year? Is there something later on in the summer or fall that you want to touch on, or anything else that we didn't ask you about you want to make sure we bring up today?
Just alluding to the trivia series name, I think the wintertime, a lot of people tend to isolate. And I think the idea behind the trivia nights also, aside from raising funds to serve 4 counties, we actually want you to come out and connect with us. I think that connection is so important, and just remember that you're not alone in things that you're going through, and we always have people willing to talk and kind of help you navigate this mental health system here. And as for events down the road, I guess you could be looking out for our Building Bridges event in partnership with the Winnebago County Mental Health Board. We typically do a large celebrity speaker in regards to mental health for free for the public, and then our annual golf outing is in June. So
yeah,
those are my plugs.
Sign Greg and I up for that one already.
And you can find all this stuff again on their website, NAMINorthernIllinois.org, and then the link to their Facebook page and everything is all on there as well. So be sure and bookmark that, check that back often, and refer people to NAMI if you think someone is in need of, chasing away the winter blues a little bit and maybe the winter blues of your friend is more than just winter blues, and they really do need some help beyond what a good friend can do.
Well, once they know that there's an advocate out there, once they know that there's somewhere they can go, and they may be too embarrassed to tell you what they're struggling with, but somebody who's kind of anonymous, something like NAMI, where they clearly have the expertise to deal with mental health issues, they may feel a little freer to open up. But I can't tell you how many stories I know. I had my own personal story with my brother. I shared it at the first NAMI event of how he needed mental health help most of his life, and it really did make an impact on straightening him out and getting him put on the right path. But this is why it's so important, and don't take it for granted. Don't just think, it's just another organization. No, it's not. Every organization has a niche. This niche right here is one that helps you get back on your feet, get grounded, so that you don't do something crazy, because that's what happens. A lot of people are desperate, and they need just that little seed planted. And so I highly encourage you to, at the very least, check out NAMI, at the very least, or go to the event and have fun playing some trivia. But one way or another, get involved. So because we all have somebody in our lives that could use a little mental health wellness.
Yeah. And that first step's the hardest. Action cures fear.
Yeah.
Take that first step. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah.
Glad you did.
Thank you both for doing this.
Right,
Absolutely.
Danielle, if we don't talk again, I will see you on January 30th, I think is what it is. Yeah. But I'll text you a time or two. We'll figure it out. We got no issues with any of that. So looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Have some great events, and we'll keep in touch.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Danny.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. I know this is going to have to come up but in a second. Let's do the big number of the week first.
Big number.
And then we'll talk all things Packers football as the season ends for our beloved Green Bay Packers. Our current race to 10 has me in the lead by a score of 6-2. And the big number of the week this week is 100,000. Charity or cheese? Did you not hit send on your text? Because I didn't get it.
Nah, I thought I did.
I know you typed it and showed me your phone, but I didn't get the text back. So where is Tom's guess?
I wonder if I sent it to someone else.
your favorite Greg friend got it instead of me.
Oh, I sent it to Mike Falls.
Well, that's not even close to Greg. What's up with that?
No, because that was the last text I wow. Okay. Anyway, I got it to you now.
There it is. Okay, so Tom's got me his guess, and I need to check my scoring here because the way we're doing it now, one of us scores every week. It used to be someone might not score.
Yeah, the guy with all the answers gets to score if I don't. That seems unfair.
That's right. Are you familiar with the Hershey Bears ice hockey team?
No, I guess I'm not. I'm guessing they're like in the Ice Hogs League.
They're in one of those minor leagues, yes, of ice hockey. The Hershey Bears ice hockey team. They hosted their annual teddy bear toss.
Oh man!
Last week, their previous record was 74,600 bears thrown out onto the ice at their event. The toss donates all the bears to charity. Over the years, they've collected over 500,000 teddies since 2001. And this year was their biggest year yet. I got a feeling they threw a lot of tiny bears out on the ice because they hit 100,000 stuffed bears onto the ice.
Can we bring back Joanne? I had a much better fighting chance against her. I'm playing against the house here. This isn't fair.
Here's what's funny. At the beginning of the show, or was it off the air before the show, we talked about Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
The entertainment chain, Chuck E. Cheese. They've spent over $300 million since emerging from bankruptcy back in 2020. They reported a revenue of $1.2 billion in 2023, the last full year. That was up from $912 million in 2019. The growth comes with fewer Chuck E. Cheese locations. There used to be 537. They're down to 470 now. We still have ours in Rockford.
Yeah, we do. Going there next Friday night.
You're going there, and that's what we talked about. The beleaguered chain is modernizing its offerings to drive demand. They're replacing the singing robot mice and replacing the ball pits with trampolines, mobile apps, and jumbotrons for today's tech-loving tots. So no more singing robotic mice.
Well, see, that's what I could never figure out. The mice, why? Why not bears? Why not kangaroos? Mice?
I forget. Was the whole band made up of mice, or was it just the lead singer?
No, they were all mice. The drummer had sunglasses, and all he did was this here. That's it.
Well,
the guitarist, all he did was this.
we did our fair I shouldn't probably less than our fair share of Chuck E. Cheese stuff. I think I can say this and not be in complete trouble. My son-in-law, my oldest daughter's husband, was a big Chuck E. Cheese fan. So for his 25th birthday, I forget which birthday. I think it was his 25th. We did a big Chuck E. Cheese party because the nostalgia was just too much
I
to
was going
pass
to
up.
say 25 going to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, and it was fun. We had a good
Nothing wrong
time.
with that.
But yeah, it's modernizing. I haven't heard if the Rockford one has already modernized, if they've already gotten rid of the robot singing mice, but that's in the plans if they haven't yet. Just so you're aware, ball pits are going away, trampolines are coming in, and Jumbotron's replacing the singing robot mice. All right, so there you go. All right, let's shift gears and talk all things Packers as our beloved Packers have exited the building. The season is over. And should we be surprised?
Somewhat surprised. The last few weeks, they looked like a minor league team. They looked like a college team playing in a professional world. But I will say one thing that set the tone, and you know what? Whenever anybody complains about the refs, everybody else says, "Oh yeah, sure, the refs. Oh yeah, the refs. They got outplayed." They didn't get outplayed. Their defense held Philadelphia. They did.
That's
They
probably
points, but they were 16-10 with the ball in the
yeah,
fourth quarter.
and that's probably my biggest concern for the offseason, other than a bunch of the free agents and who are they going to pick up, who are they going to let go, is Jeff Hafley's probably going to get a head coaching job somewhere after one season as defensive coordinator of the Packers. He's probably going to get hired by Jacksonville or New Orleans or dare I say the Bears?
No, don't.
I don't think the Bears will interview Jeff Hafley, but
Well, I don't think the Bears need to go with a defensive coach. They've had
no,
defensive coaches over the last 10, 20 years, here and there. Some offensive coach. Mark Trestman was an offensive coach. He was awful.
is Tennessee looking for a new head coach too?
They might be. No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Because Mike Vrabel's been hired by the Patriots,
But
and he was at Tennessee for a long time.
He's been gone from Tennessee for a few years. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the very beginning of the Packer game. You had the very first play of the game, literally the opening kickoff. Helmet to helmet. And it wasn't just helmet to helmet, accidental, incidental. It was crown of the helmet, hits Keyshawn Nixon, boom, ball pops out.
How did they miss that? How did they miss that?
Okay. How did they miss it? You can't review something like that. You can't go back and look and say, "Oh yeah, look at that was helmet to helmet." So that's fine right there. But that's what caused the fumble. Keep that in mind. He got dinged. I mean, he got absolutely stunned. Ball pops out. But here's where the problem was. You had Keyshawn Nixon down on the ground. He grabbed the ball. He has it in his hand. There were no arms. There was nobody until a second later when they started scrumming for the ball. The rule states, and it literally, he
was down with the ball.
He was down with the ball. Rule 7, Article 1, or Rule 1, Article 7, something like that. I literally just heard this yesterday. You are on the ground with the ball. Play stops right there. There is no more. That is the most basic rule. What was his knee down? Up there, his knee down.
The overhead camera caught that very, very, very easily.
Absolutely it did. Absolutely it did. He's got the ball in hand on the ground, and then they still gave it to Philly. Philly then comes back 2 plays later and scores a touchdown. Well, you're on your 20-yard line. You better score a touchdown. Okay, so now we're up behind the 8 ball, 7-0, and then we held them. It was back and forth, a few punts here and there, maybe a turnover on downs. I think the Packers had a turnover on downs. Anyway, 10-3 at the half. Is that what it was? Then it was 10-10, where it remained until it was 16-10. Then we came back and we had the ball. We had the ball when it was 16-10. We were able to possibly take the lead after that opening drive debacle, that opening play debacle. We were absolutely able to take the lead. who knows what might happen. We're in Philly. We're playing fairly well. Jordan Love looked like he forgot how to play football. I will say that. Something's going on with Jordan Love. I don't know if it's mental or what, but they need to get that fixed. And Jeff Hafley's play calling is another issue. Put all those aside for a second.
You mean LaFleur's play calling?
Who did I say?
Hafley.
Oh, yeah. Well, Hafley too. Hafley too. Hafley too. But I meant Matt LaFleur. Yes. But Hafley in that Bear game. Oh, don't even get me started. I think there was something wasn't right. I don't know.
They were trying. I think they were experimenting with things, and it did not go well.
I think you're right. So anyway, I can't get past this opening drive thing where you know who the ref was for the game? Brad Allen. Do you remember the Detroit-Dallas debacle when the Detroit guy came in and he said, "Hey, I'm reporting," and this and that? And then
Yes.
Brad Allen, the head ref, white hat, he says, "Nope, he did not report." They're like, "Whoa, yes, he did." They showed the video of it. I mean, for weeks. Brad Allen got sanctioned. He got taken off of all playoff games last year. Well, then what's he doing playoff games
What's he
this
doing
year?
back there? Yeah.
Why is he even in the league? He's miserable. He's awful. The other one is John Hussey. He was the one that did the Packer game when the Packers played Detroit. You remember that one where they had 7 or 8 calls that were blatantly missed when the Packers lost by 2. I don't want to be that guy that just complains about the refs, but everybody's complaining about the refs. So everybody understands what I'm saying. Even if you're a Bear fan or a Vikings fan or a Detroit fan and you're going, yeah, whatever. Well,
there's blatant things. There's missed things, and then there's blatant things, and there's really
blatant things. And it makes me wonder. I'm not going to say I think something's fixed. I just don't believe that because I played football most of my life, most of my childhood. I played football, organized football. I know how football works, and I know that you cannot throw a game if you're on the field. I mean, you could, but it would be way too obvious. Not when there's emotion involved. I saw a play that made me question it. I saw an offensive lineman just go to the right and go down, and then the defender just went right by him and sacked the quarterback. I'm like, what was that? Does he have an injury? Did he blow a knee out? No, he gets back up and goes to the huddle. There was something seriously weird about that.
The
but
games
anyway,
are all fake, Tom. It's all AI.
It's all AI. We're all in the Truman Show here.
How many fingers do you see on that offensive lineman?
Yeah, they're all digits, is what they are.
Well, I think we've got the defense we need, Packer fans. I think we do have hopefully Hafley decides to stay for at least. Hopefully he does the Ben Johnson thing. Ben Johnson could have took a head coaching job after last year's Lions season, and he said, "Nope, I got unfinished business. I'm going back to Detroit."
I agree, and I hope that's the case because I do like Jeff Hafley. But I will say this: if Jeff Hafley does go, we know what we're looking for now. Jeff Hafley set the bar. We know what we're. Okay, so let's go back to the Chicago Bulls when Doug Collins and Michael Jordan couldn't really get along. I really believe that if Doug Collins was still the coach and Phil Jackson doesn't come in, they win at least 1 or maybe even 2 championships. They're not going to win 6.
They figured it out.
They would have figured it out. They would have won it because they were too good a team. Jerry Krause, Jerry Reinsdorf, they did their best. Jerry Krause, he was the GM. Jerry Reinsdorf's the owner. But they did their due diligence. They got Scottie Pippen. They got, Bill Cartwright. They got all of the John Paxson from Notre Dame. They got all the parts they needed. They would have won a championship, if not.
They used to have a great draft strategy. I loved the Bulls draft strategy back in the day, and it was obviously skill matters, but they drafted guys who were winners, who had a winning mentality and came from winning programs. They knew how to win.
And you have to, and a lot of that is you have to be smart. You're getting guys from Notre Dame. You're getting guys that actually paid attention in college and learned and got degrees, meaningful degrees.
There's a mindset. There's a mindset that exists in most successful sports, most successful athletes. And it's not just the skill part. Yes, the skills, often trump everything else. But if you don't have that win gear, that mentality that says I'm finishing this game on top, I'm going to score more points. I'm going to, I'm going to outrace the competition. There is a mindset that happens in the player. And I always think back to my tennis days, because I played tennis in high school, and it took me so long to figure that out. I was out there to play tennis and play good. I wasn't necessarily out there to win. I was trying to play better and play better and play better, but I didn't have that coach who was, here's how you finish the match and win. It was just improving skills. You need that. You need that extra category in your brain.
Okay. So, you are exactly right. Perfect segue. So back to the Green Bay Packers, not Jeff Heffley, Matt LaFleur. Why do I keep doing that? Matt LaFleur is a very good coach. He's a great motivator, great with the media, great with the team, great with everybody. But he got conservative in the Minnesota game, in the Bear game, and in the Philly game. He got conservative, but he also did not reel in Jordan Love when Jordan Love is back there and, oh my God, the rush is coming. I'm going to throw long. Well, that's an incomplete pass because you threw it 10 yards over Jaden Reed's head. What about the check down? What about the counter tray where you get the defense moving this way and you throw it to Josh Jacobs and he gets 22 yards? What about the check down in the middle of the field is always going to be open because as guys scatter like roaches trying to cover 4 or 5 good wide, not 4 or 5, you don't have that many on the same play, but 3 wide receivers and a tight end. As you got 4 receivers going out and going in different directions. Well, that leaves the middle of the field open for either your tight end or either your back coming out of the backfield.
I'll tell you what it makes me think of, Tom. It makes me think that if you didn't know better, you would think Jordan Love spent 3 years under Brett Favre and not under Aaron Rodgers. He has more Brett Favre tendencies of trying to force the ball into places that it shouldn't go. And Favre, he holds the NFL record for most interceptions, right?
320 something, 324, 328, something like that.
Which is exciting because once in a while you fit it into the tightest spaces and you get the 20-yard gain. But
the funny thing, the reverse of that, or the conversely, whatever, Brett Favre also is among the leaders of touchdown passes. Yes. And he was up there real close to the top until Tom Brady decided to play until he was retirement age, 62, whatever. And Drew Brees even played longer too. And those are the 2 ahead of him. And I think he's 3rd. But that's what my biggest issue was with Matt LaFleur is that he forgot how to call plays or something. There were so many things missing. You could go back to several different games. They lost 6 games all year. Okay. Philly, Chicago,
Philly twice,
2 to Detroit, and 2 to Minnesota. Okay. The Chicago game, forget that. That was an outlier. We shouldn't have lost that game. We basically, I think, reason that we don't want to get anybody injured. We're going to sit people. I don't think Jordan Love's injury, whatever it was all that significant. If you're in a playoff game, he's not coming out because he tweaked his elbow and, whatever. So I'm sorry, Bear fans. Yeah, you did get the victory. Congratulations. But it wasn't exactly our best moment. And it wasn't exactly, a completely earned victory. It's not like you outplayed and outcoached in this and that. You kind of maybe outcoached a little bit because Matt LaFleur just really kind of dropped the ball. But if you think about it, in those games that they lost, I did the math on this. They lost 6 games, not counting the playoff game, 6 games by a total of, I want to say 28 points. 10 points to Detroit, 2 points to Minnesota, 2 points to 2 points to Chicago. Anyway, I did the math, and it was 26 or 28 points combined for those 6 losses. They were in it till the end on all of them. The last game of the season, second to last, against Minnesota, that little dying coil that Sam Darnold throws up, if that thing drops or if he doesn't catch it, because he had to catch it like this far off the ground. You can't see that, but 6 inches off the ground, and he almost bobbled it. Okay, we get the ball back. That was 4th down. They went for it on 4th down. I'm sorry, it was 3rd down.
It
They're
was
not
close.
going for it on 4th down on the 22-yard line. They're going to punt it, and hopefully their defense can win. We would have come back and won that game. The Bear game, we had already won the game, but we let them come back. The first Detroit game we lost by 2. The first Minnesota game we lost by 2. We were a field goal away from winning those. Sorry, I could not mute it fast enough. Sorry.
You're right.
Anyway, it was just a crazy, crazy season. We were so close. And that's what you just said a little while ago when you were playing tennis. Until you learned how to win instead of just compete and get better or this or that. This is what the Green Bay Packers didn't show me this year, is that they don't have the killer instinct. They don't know how to get over that hump. You should have put everything you had into that last defensive stand against Detroit, against Philly the first time, against, you should have put everything you had into that and then get the ball back and then go down and kick the game-winning field goal.
When LaFleur brought in, what's his name, Bisaccio, the special teams?
Rich Bisaccia, yeah.
Bisaccia, I wonder if, because he seemed to come in with one of those win mentalities, one of those win at all cost mentalities. And is he the motivator? Is he allowed to be the motivator, or is LaFleur kind of holding him back on being more of a motivating force to the whole team? I wonder.
Oh no, you watch him on the sidelines. He's very animated. I think he is a motivator.
I wonder what that dynamic is like, how the chemistry works with the team when it comes to that. Because obviously they appear to need some of that. And they're probably going to lose Jair Alexander. I don't know that they're going to bring Jair back.
He won't be back. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion he won't be back. It's fine. He's been a rumor the last 3 years anyway. Yeah, he really has. He's great. But here's what. Okay, so this takes me to what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Here's what the Packers need in the draft or in free agency, preferably free agency, because you're not going to get it in the draft, and you might, but it's going to take a year or so. Look at Edgerrin Cooper. It took us to week 11, week 12 to really, really insert him and figure out exactly who he was and what he was. He was injured earlier. We got a Tyron Hopper that probably won't help the club much. He'll probably be gone in a year or two. So we're going free agency. You got a guy who's not happy in Los Angeles, Las Vegas. His name is Max Crosby. Max Crosby. Now, you want to talk about a winner who gets over that hump, who will get you over that hump. We need a Max Crosby on defense. We need somebody like a Khalil Mack on defense. Khalil Mack's getting older, but he's still good. We need somebody like that, a Chris Jones from Kansas City. We're not going to get Chris Jones, but there are several guys out there. Max Crosby is top of the list. Offensive linemen, I think we're good. I don't think we need to mess with the offensive line too much. If Jordan Morgan is healthy next year, I think we're in good shape. We got a very young, talented offensive line. Maybe we get one more in the later rounds. We're really good at doing that. All right. So receivers. We need a couple of receivers because Christian Watson went down with that really bad, I want to say ACL injury. Is that what it was?
He won't start the season next year, probably.
He probably won't. Romeo Doubs, they're saying he may think about retirement. Second concussion in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. And he was wearing one of those big puffy caps.
Yep.
The Guardian caps. He may think about retiring. Okay, so and then what do you have left? You have Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. What's that?
Wicks.
Well, Dontavian Wicks, but Jaden Reed, Malik Heath. But there was another receiver that they lost. Who else did they lose? I can't remember. Maybe not. But anyway. They were down. They were down 3 receivers. Why am I drawing a blank? Who else was out?
Well, Reed, Dobbs, and Watson. Didn't they all go out at some point during the game?
That's what it was. I think it was Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed did get injured.
Top three receivers were out.
That's right. It was Jaden Reed, but he's fine. He'll be back. That's no problem. But here's what they were. So my point was a receiver. You need a bona fide number 1 receiver. I think as confusing as it was to us, it was even more confusing to the Packers, to Jaden Reed, to Dontavian Wicks, to Christian Watson, to Romeo Dobbs. They're all looking at each other and go, well, are you the number one or am I? Well, what about you? What about who's the number one? And I think it was equally confusing to Jordan Love. It's like, well, who do I pick? I'm friends with Jaden, but Romeo and I, we hang out on Thursday nights, and well, but then there's Bo Melton. I got to get him some love. I think we need the bona fide one. They were talking about Devontae Adams wanting to come back to Green Bay.
He's done nothing but say good things about Jordan Love. I think he would come back for a reasonable offer.
And I think you do it. You pull the trigger on that.
Yeah.
You get him. And I'm sorry, Malik Heath. I'm sorry. Brandon McManus. He's going to have to give up his number 17. Devontae Adams gets the number 17. I have spoken. Anyway,
flip a coin. They can play rock, paper, scissors, make it a pay-per-view, raise some money for charity.
You know what? Give Brandon McManus 71. Make him switch his numbers. Okay. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to do. They need to get that bona fide number one receiver, and then make Jaden Reed your number 2, your slot guy, because that's where he's most dangerous. Mm-hmm. When they double team Jaden Reed, when everybody in America said, well, you know what? Clearly Jaden Reed's your number 1. Okay, fine. Jaden Reed's your number 1. Well, here's the problem. He was toward the end of the season. He absolutely was. And toward the beginning of the season, and then they're like, whoa, wait a minute, Jaden Reed, we got to start watching this guy. And once they started double teaming him, once they started focusing on him, putting their best guy on him, his numbers went,
yeah,
they went down. So Jaden Reed being your number 2 guy is like your Jordan Addison for Minnesota. That guy kills Green Bay. That guy kills everybody.
Jefferson, Addison, Naylor trio of the Vikings was something else this year.
Because Jordan Jefferson gets the double team. Well, Jaden Reed was getting the double team. So let's have Devontae Adams get the double team, who is a guy who can go long, who can go short, who can go around the end on a jet sweep. I mean, there's so many things Devontae Adams can. He's such a talented receiver. Okay, so if Devontae Adams says, no, I'm going to stay in New York. I'm good. There are other receivers out there. Cincinnati has a plethora of wide receivers. There are so many other ones. So a wide receiver number 1 we have to get. Now, if we could get, the best guy in the draft, that'd be great. The best guy in the draft for wide receiver, but we don't have that low a pick unless we give away picks and get up there. Pick number 7, pick number 8.
Tough decision for the office to decide who to keep, who to pay, who to let go. And obviously draft capital plays a lot into that. They've got enough draft capital that they are going to be able to pick decent players again this year. But this playoff window, this potential championship window is open for the Packers. And if you can get someone like Devontae Adams, if he will come back and be the number 1 receiver, if you can get someone like a Max Crosby to be that number 1 stud on defense, I don't think you're 2 pieces away from actually making it happen, I think.
Oh, I think you are exactly right. Now, here's the other thing too. When we go into the draft, 2 things. One, when we go into the draft, we need to get more solidified, backup guys or whatever, not backup guys, but I mean, guys that may, if they have to sit for a year, they can move right in. And then you can move away from some of your older players like a Kenny Clark. If Kenny Clark has another year that's not so bad, not so good. His year this year wasn't as good, and there's a reason for it. He's still a big body in there. He's still got a few sacks, but nobody got more than 3 or 4 sacks for the Packers this year. Am I correct on that?
Like 10 guys did, like 8 or 10 guys were up.
Right at 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Lucas Van Ness is another guy that you might be able to ship out. He's not. I'm sorry. He doesn't have any significant moves. He just is a big guy. He can block a pass or whatever. But here's the thing: year 2 of Jeff Hafley's system, year 2, that's the important year, because it took them 8 to 10 weeks to get into the system, and by that time, Jordan Love and the receiving core that we thought was so wonderful was starting to fail, because as you get later in the season, the stakes are higher. And you're being covered differently. Your game plan for the teams against you, their game plan against you is different. Now we're going to cover that Jaden Reed guy. We're going to make sure we don't get beat deep. We're going to make sure we don't get beat by so-and-so. That's where Tucker Kraft comes in. You know, Tucker Kraft is your number one tight end. If you had to deal Luke Musgrave, you could do that because Sims is a pretty good backup tight end. There are a lot of options they have, and I have complete faith in Brian Gutekunst. I think he is as
me
good
too.
as it gets.
Me too.
As good as
No.
it gets. And I think if they win the Super Bowl next year, he's GM of the year. He better be.
I'm totally on board with what he's been doing, and for the second year in a row, the youngest team in the playoffs. He's managing. He's managing their draft capital very, very well, and that's going to be this is not one of the strongest draft classes from what I'm hearing as far as the experts go. There's not a whole ton of top tier talent in this year's draft, but guess where the draft is taking place in April?
Green Bay. That's going to be
Wisconsin.
awesome.
For
That's
the first time,
awesome.
maybe the only time, but it's there. And
I'm loving this. In
cool is it
April,
gonna
April
be?
in Green Bay is going to be good. It'll be about 45, 50 degrees. We're good. 60 maybe.
fine.
Could be 60. Okay, so real quick then, Matt LaFleur, is he on the hot seat next year if they have another one and done in the playoffs? If they struggle to make it to a wild card, is he in the hot seat?
That's a good question because of the wild card weekend with that extra team being added into the mix. And Mike McCarthy, right? Just got let go from Dallas after 3 great seasons, 1 bad season. And some people say the extra wild card was added so that the Cowboys would be in the playoffs every year. Well, they didn't make it to the playoffs this year.
I don't know who says that, but that's just crazy.
I've heard it said.
The league doesn't.
That was one of the reasons.
Who knows?
So
I don't think the league favors any teams, but maybe they do.
If Green Bay's the 7th seed again, and they don't show up again, I don't think it's a stretch to say LaFleur would be on a hot seat a little bit. I don't know that they would let him go that after, he's having success. It's just, we expect more, right?
Yeah.
And now that we're dealing with a Detroit Lions team that's a juggernaut, how are they going to stay that good next year when they lose Ben Johnson and he's no longer part of their coaching staff? Good question.
Yeah.
Good
well,
question.
Is Dan Campbell enough to, and is that organization enough to be able to be able to find another coordinator that can go in there and have the same philosophy? It's, you get lightning in a bottle and you get the chemistry going. It's really hard to recreate that. I'm not sure it can be done. So I'm looking forward to the Detroit Lions next year flopping. Maybe not. Aaron Glenn is probably going to be gone, and Ben Johnson's probably going to be gone. Exactly. You're right. Are they going to be able to sustain that? I don't know.
They won't have the season. They won't have the season next year that they had this year. This year was the dream season for them.
And I don't think Jared Goff, he's not a great quarterback. He's a very, very good quarterback. And when you've got a good system, a very good system, you can flourish. Yeah. And right now, I think the system in Green Bay is what's hurting Jordan Love. I think Matt LaFleur needs to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, like Vince Lombardi says, man, this is a football. That's what he said. We're going back to the basics. That is exactly what they need to do. Go back to the basics and say, okay, Jordan, we're going to create plays for you. Now, when you see this formation, when you see what looks like a potential blitz, you're going to beat the blitz by catching number 11 going right across the middle. Because when they're blitzing, what are they doing? They're vacating the middle, right? This is how Green Bay keeps getting beat. Not so much that they're blitzing a lot, but because they disguise it well. They do better than most teams. They disguise it well. But a good quarterback back there that can see it coming. He couldn't see it ahead of time, but he can see it coming. Oh, there you go. Boom. This is what Jordan Love couldn't do. You'd see him turn this way, turn that way, and then he's got to throw the ball out of bounds or throw the ball in the dirt or whatever. This is why you get 3 and outs. This is why you get, you go 20 yards, you got a first down, great. You had a nice little run. Josh Jacobs got you 13, 14 yards. You live to fight another day. But then the next series or the next 4 set of downs, you end up doing that. So you might go 5 and out or 6 and out. Well, that doesn't feed the bulldog. You know, you have to get field goals. You have to get touchdowns. And this is why you have to create these. Look at what these other teams did to Green Bay. This is how they lost. Philly, Minnesota, and Detroit. I don't count the Bear one. That was an aberration.
No.
I don't count that one because that's not how they beat the Packers. That wasn't. The Packers lost that game because they simply didn't play well at the end.
They weren't
And
playing
should've-
to win. They were playing to
They
try
weren't.
things.
They were playing to try things. And they were playing not to get injured, which
Yes,
didn't work so
exactly.
well anyway. Okay,
Doesn't work.
so basically, what you have to do in order, if you want to beat the Packers, if you want to beat the other teams, you do what they did to beat you, and that is find that guy over the middle. Whether it's Jaden Naylor, whether it's oh my God, who was it? The guy from Patrick something. His last name was Patrick, Mike Patrick or Jim, whatever.
Was he a tight end?
What's that?
Was
For
he a
Detroit?
tight end?
No. He was a wide receiver. He was number 27 for Detroit. Tim Patrick. He scored, I want to say 2 or maybe even 3 touchdowns. I think he scored all their touchdowns when they played that second game. They 24-14 was the score. He scored at least 2 of the touchdowns. And I only know this because of fantasy football. Nobody had him. He was 0%
Right.
rostered. He was a
There was always
4th or
points for
5th
nobody.
stringer. But they found a way to find an opening and to get him in there. You know what?
And they have the legit number one. Amon-Ra St. Brown is their guy.
Yeah. And we covered him on Ross St. Brown. He didn't do so well. We covered Deebo Samuel. He didn't do so well against San Francisco. We covered all of their players in these games. But there was that one person that got us. And it was Tim Patrick and it was Jaden Naylor, excuse me. And who else from Philly? It was somebody else I think it was Kenneth Gainwell from Philly. There's always that one other person. Now I understand you can't cover everybody, but you can make your defense aware that spot is open. Spot is open. We need to make sure we cover that. That's what the second series is for. You didn't do it on the first. You're like, okay, guys, on that first series when they scored that opening touchdown, we didn't cover this middle right there. And they got 2 first downs on that series. So that's what our focus is. So it's not that difficult. And these are good football minds. They're being paid millions of dollars to figure it out. If we can figure it out, they can figure it out.
Well, this is an incredible weekend of football this weekend. Some say it's the best weekend of football all year. Most, I think, say that next weekend is the best weekend of football all year because it's the 4 best teams. I kind of like the argument that this is the best weekend of football all year. You've got 4 great games. Probably 1 or 2 of them will turn into stinkers, but you'll at least have probably 2 great games out of these 4. And the first one today is Texans at the Chiefs. And it shouldn't shock people if the Texans pull this off. The Chiefs have been skinning by all year, and they don't have the offense they used to have. Am I saying the Chiefs are going to lose? No. I'm just saying you shouldn't be completely shocked if the Texans go in and actually pull this off.
I won't be shocked. I agree with you there. But until the Chiefs lose, my God, they were 15-1. Now they're not going to lose to Denver 38-0 on week 10 or week 3 or week 15. No. But when they're 15-1 and they've got everything locked up, why would you play Kelsey? Why would you play Mahomes? Why would you play Chris Jones?
The motivation to lose that game was so high, not just because they didn't want to get players injured, because they didn't want the Bengals in the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
And the Bengals were out when Denver won. So, yeah, having to deal with the Bengals again, knowing how good their offense had been at the end of the season, they didn't want to deal with them.
Okay, the conspiracy theory is coming out here. Okay, do tell. No, but I mean that all does play into it, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I think the Chiefs beat the Texans, but I will not be shocked if the Texans pull it off. Tonight's game should be great. It should be great. The Commanders and their guy, what's their coach's name? Dan
Quinn.
Dan Quinn versus Dan Campbell, head coach of the Lions at Detroit. Detroit, the Ford Field is going to be just
It's going to be
nuclear
crazy
loud.
nuts. Crazy nuts.
And I love this rookie quarterback for the Commanders. He's so calm, cool, and collected. He's so good. That's going to be a game. That's the pressure is more on Detroit than on Washington, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, Washington is essentially playing with house money.
Yes.
Detroit was so close last year, and I'm going to tell you, if Dan Campbell does what he did last year, he will be on the hot seat. Not next year. I mean, after next year, he will be on the hot seat.
The prediction for Commanders versus Lions, of course, would be that the Commanders are down by 4 at the end of the game. They throw a Hail Mary and someone and the Commanders actually catches the ball in the back of the end zone and they beat the Lions at the last second.
Jeez.
Just like
wow, 27-24. Wow.
Again, no, if I'm betting on that game, I still think the Lions win, but again, will not be shocked if the Commanders pull it off because the pressure's on the Lions and they might break under the pressure of having to feel like they have to win this game. So,
well, they haven't broke under the pressure of having to insert literally bus drivers and cafeteria workers in their defense. So
I know.
I don't know about that. I think Detroit's probably still going to win this game.
Yeah.
I do. I just, wow. And
So
I think it's
game.
probably going to be Philly and Detroit in the NFC Championship game. I hate them both. I hope they both,
Well, that's the next game. Sunday at 2. Sunday at 2, Rams at Eagles. It'll be cold. It's going to be very cold, but I don't think that bothers Matt Stafford so much.
Georgia boy played LA, played in the Dome in Detroit, and he's not played a whole lot of cold
But he
games.
played a lot of years in Detroit. He played a lot of games in Green Bay and another cold, in
Well, I understand, but in Detroit, you're in a dome.
Yeah.
So he's never played a cold game in Detroit. And in Minnesota, you're playing in a dome. So Green Bay and Soldier Field, that's 2 games a year. I mean, look at Jared Goff. He played 3 outdoor games all year long.
Yeah.
3 outdoor games.
Well, the Rams have the better head coach. They could pull it off against the Eagles by better coaching and Matthew Stafford being Matthew Stafford.
Well, okay. So take away that they were 10-7 or 11-5? I think they were. I'm not sure what it was. Okay. Nonetheless, the first 5 or 6 games they were without. Not the first game, but like 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, maybe 7. They were without Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp.
I wrote them off by week 7 or 8. I thought they were
absolutely. Done. Absolutely. They're 2-5.
Yeah, no, I thought, okay, they're not happening this year. Who's going to win the West? And I figured it was going to be Seattle.
Oh, absolutely, because Seattle at one point was 7-4, I think, and they were 5-7, whatever it was, 4-7 maybe. I don't even know.
They fell off.
They weren't 4-7.
Rams squeaked in there again. Another game where I will not be surprised if the Rams beat the Eagles in Philadelphia. I still think the Eagles will pull it off, but
I'm thinking that's your better bet of the 2. I still think probably Detroit and Philly, but I think the Rams have a better shot at beating Philly than Washington beating Detroit. But I really hope it's Washington and the Rams. I
think so. And the game of the weekend will be the last one on Sunday night. That'll be Ravens at the Bills. There could be 2 feet of snow on the ground. It could be just a ground and pound game. Don't rely on kicking. Don't rely on long passing. And Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson running against running. Who's going to do better on Sunday? That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. I don't know. I the winner of that game could very well be your Super Bowl champion.
I agree with you there. I agree. Here's a question for you. Who is a higher percentage of their offense?
Lamar, I think, is
Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen.
I would just looking at their rosters and thinking who's Josh Allen's number 1 running back and who is Lamar Jackson's number one running back.
Okay, James Cook is your answer for Buffalo, and he's very good. He's a younger
He's
brother
good.
of Dalvin Cook.
Derrick
Derrick
Henry
Henry.
was in the running for the top
No,
yardage.
if not for Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry gets it running away.
Exactly.
Running away. Derrick Henry's a stud. So, but the answer is very simple. By the numbers, Josh Allen is by far a bigger part of the offense for Buffalo because Josh Allen does so much.
Yeah.
And in a ground and pound game, yes, maybe Buffalo does have the advantage. But if it's a decent field, I don't care about the weather unless it's 4 below. Nobody can really throw and pass.
It's going to be like 11 degrees in Buffalo Sunday night.
Okay, all right. Well, that's pretty bad. That's not good. So, but Buffalo, all you have to do is just stopping Josh Allen is like stopping a tornado. It's almost impossible.
It's hard.
You just can't do it. But you can neutralize him. And here's the thing: if you take care of his receivers, if you've got his receivers covered, well, then who's he throwing to? And then he'll run it. And that's the problem when you play Buffalo, is that he's going to run it. Now, Lamar Jackson, same thing. So this is why I say if you can get to, you have a much better chance of getting to Josh Allen, James Cook, and the receivers. Amari Cooper, I think, is their number one, or is he not there anymore? I think he's there now. And then Davis, Gabe Davis. No, he's not there anymore. Boy, I tell you, the players
There's
are
a
just
lot of players.
moved
I
around
can't
so much.
track them all either.
I'm having trouble keeping track. But anyway, with Baltimore, they've just got so many more moving parts, so many more ways they can beat you. I really do think Baltimore is going to beat Buffalo and advance to the NFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs.
I honestly will not be surprised if all the away teams pull off upsets this weekend. I wouldn't be shocked if all the home teams lose. And that's that's how crazy awesome this weekend of football potentially is going to be. It really is. So yeah, I guess if I had to choose, if I was parlaying this weekend, I would say Chiefs and Lions win Saturday, Rams, Bills win Sunday. Rams would be the upset of the weekend, I think, for me. Just again, because I think their coach is better. And if Stafford stays healthy the whole game and he's got his weapons back, I think they pull it off in Philadelphia.
Yeah, because I see Philly sort of imploding. I think that Rams defense can take care of Saquon Barkley. AJ Brown has not been as great as AJ Brown is, and by the way, he's another one out there that you could go get if you're the Packers. You could go get him. I think he's DK Metcalf with Seattle. Listen, they're going to be out there, and if you're offering up $40 million a year, you've got the cap space. Do it.
You need a locker room guy too, though, not just the skills guy. So who's the locker room guy who's going to be upbeat and positive? What was Devontae Adams was kind of keeps to himself a little bit. I don't know that he's a hype guy at all, but
I don't necessarily think you're going to need your wide receiver to be your locker room guy. Tucker Kraft is good at that. There's a lot of guys that are good locker room guys on that offense already. So I'm not worried about that as much. But what I don't want Deebo Samuel. He's too mouthy. I don't want Tyreek Hill. He's too much for himself. Somebody on Cincinnati who understands how to win and all of that. I really don't care for Jamar Chase. He's not going anywhere anyway. But but he's too mouthy. You got to have somebody who understands, who will be willing to say, you know what, I am a role player. No problem. I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good to be the decoy. I'm good to be the decoy once in a while because that's what the number one receiver is so often in this league. It's the decoy.
Let's grab Jordan Addison from Minnesota.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. I got a few shout outs before we wrap things up today that I want to make sure to mention.
All right.
The first one being our next In Crowd 815 event is coming up in a week from this Thursday. And we're going to be at Empower. I think I can put up this screen real quick. the Empower. We were hoping to have Danny on last week from Empower, and he took ill. But the Empower co-working space and collaboration center, it's more than just a workspace. It's a hub for innovation, connection, growth. It's designed for professionals, entrepreneurs, and teams of all sizes. A great environment there. Flexible office rentals, state-of-the-art meeting spaces. We're going to be there again the last Thursday of this month for our In-Crowd 815 first meeting of the year, 5:30 to 7:30, and we're going to be trying our hand at some speed networking that night to give you a chance to meet a handful of people face-to-face, one-on-one, to get to learn about what they do and spread the word about what you do. The address is 303 North Main Street in Rockford. It's in the Supply Corps building, right across the street from the Coronado Theater. So you could park on the streets or you could park in the parking garage. I should have checked. I haven't checked if there's a Coronado Theater event that night. I don't think there is. So there should be plenty of parking in the parking garage next door if you want to do that. 5:30 to 7:30. Expect some great food, hors d'oeuvres, and some beverages last Thursday of this month at Empower. Our friends from Rockford Rescue Mission, they've got their big telethon this week. That's 7 p.m. on January 23rd. We had Charmel Jacobs on to talk about that. The Rockford Rescue Mission's 27th annual telethon is coming up on January 25th, 7 to 9 p.m. They do a great job of producing the program, and it's a great 2 hours of learning about all the years of service that the Rockford Rescue Mission has provided to Rockford. The Paws Humane Society Fur Ball is coming up on February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. And that is a Saturday night at Tabala Event Center, Newburgh Road in Rockford. There's still a chance to get tickets for that. I wanted to make sure to acknowledge the passing of the great Bob Euchre.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Bob Euchre passing away at the age of 10 days shy of his 91st birthday.
Dang.
He was the voice of the Brewers for 54 years. So I never knew another voice for Brewers baseball. He was the man of every game. And even in these last few years when he was doing like half the games, he would only do the home games. Never talked about the cancer that he was fighting. I don't think I ever heard him talk about. We knew he had some health issues. We knew that there was something, but he never talked about this small cell cancer thing that he was battling the last couple of years.
Yeah.
An amazing entertainer.
Yeah.
6 years,
Just a bit outside.
6 years in the league as a player. Pretty much immediately went up to the broadcast booth afterwards. Was a comedian, did movies, did TV shows, 100 episodes of Mr. Belvedere. It was just amazing. Milwaukee born and bred dude. And he's going to be greatly, greatly missed in the broadcast booth there for the Milwaukee Brewers.
And I saw, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, continue. But let me,
go ahead.
Milwaukee Admirals. But no, go ahead and finish your thought. I just wanted to make sure I got this in there, but go ahead.
Well, I wanted to mention next week, we're going to have Luke Fredrickson on the show. He's the marketing director for Midway Village Museum. Of course, their calendar is packed full of really cool stuff they do all year long at Midway Village Museum. And they are opening up a brand new permanent exhibit that he's going to tell us about next week here on the show. I wanted to encourage our not-for-profits to check out some other great podcasts that are on Spotify. The Influential Nonprofit is a great podcast to learn more about being excellent and influential as a not-for-profit. And there is a podcast called the Nonprofit Podcast, which is also very informative. I'm getting a lot of good information from Mike Rowe's podcast, The Way I Heard It. The Playbook with David Meltzer and the Ed Milet Show. Just wanted to kind of let you know if you're getting into podcasting, if you're getting into listening to podcasts, those are some of the ones that I frequent the most. And again, next week, Luke Fredrickson from Midway Village Museum Center should be on our show here. Last thoughts, Tom?
Well, I was going to say about Bob Uecker, he did some local commercials in Milwaukee for the Milwaukee Admirals. I was watching NHL on the fly last night, and they were doing a tribute to Bob Uecker. And I'm like, wait, hockey? Why Bob Uecker? Because he did some great commercials for. What you should do is probably. Hang on one second. I'm on.
He was all things
right
Milwaukee. He was Mr. Baseball and he was Mr. Milwaukee.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But anyway, so but that's I just wanted to throw that in there. That was such a great tribute.
Really appreciate all the tributes that immediately came out from all over the world, really, and of course the MLB world, recognizing the fact that this guy was
lifetime batting average of 200. Anyway, all righty.
Which is better than you would have imagined, the way he talks about himself. So self-appreciating. Yeah. All right. Well, friends, remember, you change the world when you help one person. Be a blessing to someone this week. We'll try to do the same. Meet you back here for another edition of your In Crowd 815 podcast. Tom, have a good one, buddy. Bye.
815 in crowd. 815 in crowd. 815 in crowd. 815